All right. I believe we are live. All right, guys. We're going to crack open a little big day. Can you guys drop a 1 if you can see me, if you can hear me? Lovely. Lovely, lovely. Man, it is amazing to have you guys here. Love it. Man, it's going to be a very, very cool 5 days. There you go. Yeah, I just want to welcome you guys. As I said, we're going to have an amazing 5 days together. Also, just a heads up, when I look to the side or maybe down, I'm actually looking at your comments. I'm not being rude. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, well, before we get started, I just want to really set the tone, make a couple announcements. First things first, I want you guys to understand that this challenge is going to deliver real value. It's going to deliver pretty much everything I know, as much as I can condense into 5 days. You know, this isn't going to be a pitch fest or anything like that. I'm going to give you not only the playbook of what's gotten me to this position. It's cool because you're going to get SOPs, you're going to get resources, templates, like literally taken straight from our private client program. You'll also have a concierge. You know, I believe most of you guys should have already been reached out to by your concierge. So like, these are people who have been on my team for years and years. So if you have something, you know, if you have an issue you're struggling with, if you have another way that we could provide value, there's someone, just like WhatsApp them back. They're on my team. You know, we really are here to serve you. So as I said, I know, bear in mind, I know a lot of you guys joined in the last day or so, 12 hours, 6 hours, whatever it may be. Just know your concierge will reach out to you on WhatsApp. Every single person should have a concierge. So yeah, we will reach out to you. So you guys are going to get a bunch of stuff with this event, but I don't know if you guys have ever been to challenges before, events, and it's just like, it's a bit awkward because the presenter just kind of blue balls you the whole time. Like they kind of insinuate that they're going to pitch you something at the end, or they're going to make an offer at the end, and then you can't like really focus. Like it's just this weird thing. You can't concentrate because you're like, are they going to sell me something? Or are they not going to sell me? What's the price point? And it's just this weird thing. So is it okay if literally in 15 seconds, I just tell you what it is, if you guys want to take the next step, what it is that I'm going to offer, so that way, you know, we can just get over and done with, we can focus on the real value. Just drop a 1 if like you would just prefer me to quickly in 10, 15 seconds tell you what that is, and then you can focus. Okay, a bunch of 1s coming through. All right, amazing. Guys, at the end, there's a offer to become one of our private clients. It's a $48,000 program. That's it. Boom, done. You guys are all smart enough to know whether it makes sense for you. One of the reasons I wanted to do this is the first time I've ever, number 1, done a live event, and number 2, ever done it behind a paywall. I'm sure as you guys know, the $100, the $300 that you guys paid, it doesn't really change our life. I mean, between the entire studio production, which you guys seem to appreciate, so I appreciate that. You know, between the whole Apple-esque studio production, between you know, the retargeting ads we put in, everything that went into it, you know, we're not making any money here. But the main reason I want to do it is because I wanted to know that we only had serious people in the room. And obviously, I've studied all your guys' surveys. I've studied all your intake forms. I know who's watching. And first things first, I congratulate you because you're smart. You're smart as fuck. I've been reading some of the intake forms, and we have some heavy, heavy hitters in during this challenge, okay? Now, I want to tell you why we actually created this 8-figure personal brand challenge. We have done almost, close to, about to cross $100 million with info products. Now, bear in mind, 95% of that was without any paid ads. We spent 2.5, I guess now with this event, we spent a bit on retargeting, close to about $3 million on ads, and brought back almost $100 million in return. Now, we discovered something that changed everything. You see, most of what people have been taught about scaling an online business and info business, anything in that realm really, is just completely upside down. And bear in mind, I've been there. You know, I got fooled, I got tricked myself. I had these, you know, the build complex funnels, the huge ad spend, the build a massive team. I was there, and it was about 6, 7 years ago that I decided to go against the advice of everyone. And what I did shocked my fellow colleagues, my friends, everyone in the industry. I fired my bloated sales team, I deleted my funnels, and I stopped running ads to cold traffic. The result, you might ask? I am one of, if not potentially even the only people in the industry to pocket net take-home profit. We're going to be crossing in the next few months 9 figures in info in the last 5 years. And the cooler thing is that I really positioned myself as the top industry leader in this space. And it's opened up a lot of opportunities that I'm going to be talking about, okay? Because what I want to do here is, yes, of course, making money is great, but what are we doing this for? Like, what does 6 months from now look like? What does 3 years look like? What does 5 years, 10 years look like from now? And how do we protect ourselves and make sure that no matter what, we are good? Good economy, bad economy, this president, that president, it doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter because you have the only asset that you will ever need to make sure that you are good for the rest of your life, okay? Now, let me paint a picture of where most of you are right now. You probably feel like you've hit a plateau with your profit and you are stuck right there. And I have some unfortunate news for you. You know, you're probably not going to be stuck at this plateau. You probably aren't going to plateau. In fact, you're probably going to go down. And that's what I see a lot in the info space particularly. And you know, even in the e-commerce space, when people don't build a real brand, an evergreen brand, something that lasts, you know, isn't just a flash in the pan. I'm sure you guys have seen it time and time again. Info is this really funny game where the first 3 years, everything's light, everything's effortless, everything's so easy. And then the market gets bored of you. And they don't know, these info people, they don't know how to build for the long term. So I know that you're in that headspace right now. And you're not going to break it unless you make drastic changes. And I also know that you can't implement a lot of these drastic changes because you wake up every single morning knowing that you're going to spend 6 to 8 hours fixing problems. You're going to be optimizing funnels that aren't converting. You know, you think, oh, if I just build one more funnel, if I just build this kind of funnel, that kind of funnel. Like, guys, come on. What are we talking about here? And you're doing tasks that you know you shouldn't be doing. And you're always just thinking, what's next? You're lying awake at night wondering, what does this look like? What does the future look like? You don't know what next month's profit is going to look like, let alone 6 months from now. And you just lay awake at night wondering, like, how much longer am I going to keep doing this? And this has been the really interesting thing. You know, I actually wouldn't consider myself an info guy. I spend 1 to 2 hours a day on that business. You know, I have an incredible team, and we're going to talk about how to set up all this stuff. But I have, you know, my eyewear brand. For example, we're on pace to do between $10 to $12 million this year in revenue, that is, granted. I always like to be transparent. But about 50% margins this year. I have my software businesses. I have consumable brand. You know, I have these different ventures. I'm investing in a lot of companies. That's what I've been doing really primarily the last 12 to 18 months. But I can tell you, it's been so interesting because the e-com guys want to be in info, the info guys want to be in e-com, the software guys, like the grass is always greener. And I see this all the time. But I can tell you, if I had to pick one business and one business only, it would be info. There's nothing better, okay? Or some of these other businesses with a super solid personal brand, which we're going to show you how to do in the space of the next few days, okay? Now, here's what I propose, okay? This is what I propose. We build a simple content-driven machine rather than a bloated funnel-driven machine, okay? Now, it's funny, whenever I bring this up, people tell me, oh, but, you know, I don't want to be on the hamster wheel. Like, I hear that all the time. The hamster wheel, right? That's the number one thing that comes up when I hear this. And they say things like, oh, I don't want to be a slave to my content. I don't want to be stuck on the content hamster wheel. And I want to remove myself from my business. Now, when I hear those objections, and when people tell me that back, I just think it sounds a little silly, and I'll explain why. And first of all, before we do that, I want to go back to a time where I wasn't posting that much content. And here's the honest truth of it. There's a lot of people online that will say, oh, you know, I work in the info space. They're like, oh, I work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, blah, blah, this, that, all this stuff. Here's the God's honest truth. I work 1 to 2 hours a day on that business specifically. In about 8 months a year, I work 12 hours a day. And there's about 4 months a year, my team knows, you're going to be able to reach me 3-4 hours a day, and the rest of the day, I'm in the Mediterranean on a boat somewhere enjoying my life. Because I should do, you know? And if you want to learn how to work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, maybe I'm not your guy, okay? Maybe I'm not your guy. I think, you know what? You deserve to live life, okay? You deserve not to, like, be stressed every single day, okay? And I want to show you a case of that. In 2023, I posted, in the first half of 2023, I posted 2 to 3 content-based videos. Okay, we call these sit-downs. These are the sort of videos that like actually get you customers and leads, not just views. Okay, now in that period, you know, I think me and my assistant, we did a Q&A and we recorded a couple of vlogs, but like nothing serious. Okay, 10 things I can't live without. But I know these videos aren't going to get me customers. Okay, so I only had time for about 2 to 3 sit-downs in that period. The reason why, you might be wondering, is because I was focused on my other businesses, and there's a couple month period in there where I've been working really hard the past few years. So I was like, you know what? I get to relax and I get to enjoy myself. And once again, you should build a business that lets you do that, okay? Like, you have the right to relax. I don't know if you've ever been to an event and anyone's ever given you a permission to be like, hey, you get to live a life. Like, you don't have to be working 16 hours a day. That's fine, right? Now, the first video I did was in February 2023 in terms of sit down. The next one I posted was in May 2023. As I said, I was very busy during that window. And the next one was June 2023. As I said, I was super busy. I guess first things first, enjoying my life, and then focused on my other businesses. Now, at the end of the 6-month period, we had a big promotion. Big promotion. The result? Increase in profit by 80% from the previous promotion. So I really posted 3 videos in 6 months. I mean, you would think my business, bear in mind, I was running, not retargeting even back then, I was running 0 ads. Zilch, nada, nothing. I was running 0 ads. I posted 3 videos, 3 actual businessy videos in 6 months. I mean, you would think my business would burn to the ground, surely. No, this is what happened. You see, when you build businesses using this flywheel content system, it's like building a rental property portfolio. Each new video is like adding a house to your portfolio. The videos will continue bringing new viewers and paying dividends for a long time, even if you don't invest into it for a few months. Now, this is the exact same thing with your YouTube channel. Everyone knows with a rental property, your portfolio keeps paying dividends and even grows. Same with your YouTube channel. Eventually, you're going to start having a catalog of dozens of videos, maybe even hundreds of videos at some point, that will just keep bringing in viewers each and every day. Now, let's do a quick little thought experiment. And before I bring up that thought experiment, there's something that I can't stop thinking about. Everyone's so infatuated with passive income. Oh, passive income, passive income, passive income. But I think we all kind of acknowledge these days that attention is income. I think most people, type a 1 in the chat if you kind of understand attention is income, right? 1, okay, yeah. Pretty much everyone understands, okay, attention for the most part equals income. So for me, if attention is income, then passive attention is just as good as passive income, because if you get passive attention that you don't need to pay for, you don't need to work for, that's going to bring you passive income. That's going to bring you leads, customers, clients, whatever it may be, as long as you actually have a monetization infrastructure. And we'll talk about that in the next few days. Don't worry about that. You guys are going to be A-okay by the end of this event. But I just don't know why no one's talking about this. Or to me, this is that epiphany I had. This is that realization I had 6 years ago. I was if I just focused on building an intentional personal brand, that brings me passive attention. If I have passive attention, I'm good for the rest of my life. I don't need to worry and fret, oh, the ad account is down, the funnels, oh no, the funnel. It's just, come on guys, as I said, it's just, what are we doing here? I hear so many people, they're I'm a long-term thinker, I'm a long-term thinker, I think long-term. And then all they do, their actions don't reflect it. They wake up every single morning, focus on their ads, their funnels. Is your ad and your funnel still gonna be relevant 3 years from now? Or is your personal brand going to be relevant 3 years from now? So, going back to my point, let's do a quick little thought exercise, shall we? What would happen to you if you had a funnel-driven business and you stopped running ads or stopped driving traffic to your funnel today? I'm sure a lot of you guys would feel the impact straight away. Now, what would happen if you stopped sending traffic to your funnel for 6 entire months? I mean, you probably wouldn't even have a business at that point. It's hard to say. I know for a lot of you guys, you wouldn't even risk it. Okay? So then I ask you, who's really on the hamster wheel? Which one of these businesses stops completely the moment you stop pedaling on that hamster wheel? So this is why when people look from the outside in, and I know, listen, guys, I may not respond to stuff and I may not address things. I'm very observant. I know exactly what people say, what people think. I know a lot of people, maybe from the outside looking in, they just think, oh, he got lucky. He just made some YouTube videos. That's cute. Like, that's very sweet that you thought I was able to profit nearly 9 figures in the last 5 years from info by just making a couple YouTube videos and getting lucky. No, we built infrastructure, okay? I built a team. I built everything that you guys are going to get over the space the next few days, and I did it intentionally. So I know from the outside, I wanted to make it look like ease, right? I think, by the way, in life, I think there's really something to be said about when you do things that are really difficult, but you make it look easy. I think you should almost get even more credit for that, because I feel like the sense of effortlessness goes a long way and also makes things more fun. I can't tell you how much fun I have. Like, I'm being dead honest. I cannot tell you how much fun I have waking up every single day, working with my team, doing what I do. Everything just feels effortless. It feels fun. And that's why, like, now I started in the entrepreneurship game 10 years ago. And the things we're pulling off these days, the level of work, commitment, financial input, risk, all this stuff is insane. But I love it more than I've ever loved it. And honestly, I work harder than I've ever worked. Of course, there's those few months a year I'm in the Mediterranean floating on a boat somewhere because, balance. But I love it. And, that's really what I want for you guys too. I know a lot of you guys, I know a lot of you guys are making millions a year. You're profiting good money, but you just don't like your team. You don't like what you do. You don't like your work. And I don't know, I just don't think that's really a good life, all right? So, you work 10 times harder than me, which honestly, I wouldn't say you work 10 times harder than me as a whole, but you probably, in your main business, you work 10 times harder than me. Because as I said, I work, 1 to 2 hours a day on my info business. So yeah, you probably work 10 times harder in your main business, yet you stay stuck at the same profit indefinitely. The reason why is because I'm building and you're replacing. So what if instead of just investing into something, what if instead you invested into something that will actually grow in value, even if it's a bit slower at first? The real question is, how long are you going to keep burning your money and time with these, what I like to call shit coins? You're like, it said to me, it's funny because people keep saying, oh, I think long-term, I'm a long-term thinker, and yet they keep doing short-term actions, okay? Now, I think I've already said this. I'm not against ads. I want to make that very clear. Like, I'm not here to demonize ads. In fact, my agency, for 4 years, what we did is we worked with info businesses. So, like, I know ads can work, right? I just understand in terms of having a long career and a prosperous career, that's not the main source of customers and traffic and profit that I think you should have, okay? And I've just seen, as I said, time and time again, how people get burnt out. So this is why I think for me, it's so important that instead of constantly going to bed every single night and replacing, just constantly putting out fires, you're actually building something of substance, okay? Now, I've built this system that will keep running regardless of my input. And I told you, that's why I sleep well at night. So if you want to start sleeping well as well, if you want to get back to enjoying your work, making great money, loving your team, loving your customers, that's exactly what I want to show you how to do over the next 5 days. Now, over the next 5 days, I'm going to show you exactly how we've generated close to $100 million in info product sales with, 2.5? I guess we're coming close to $3 million in ads now, okay? I'm going to show you why my ads work so well, because I built a brand in the first place. So my ads really aren't even ads. It's like more reminders, okay? how I've built multiple channels that consistently do 6 figures a month, like each of them, some even 7 figures a month and multi-7 figures a month. How I actually created a single YouTube video that's generating me $20 million. Yeah, and I got paid to do so. It's actually crazy when I think about it. And how I built a brand that generates me millions and millions and millions of dollars in opportunities. Discounted equity in every single company I discuss. You know, funky business. Like, if you told me when I was 13 years old, oh yeah, your eyewear brand would do $2 million a year in profit in the last few years, and then this year we're aiming for, I said we're on track for 10 to 12 million in dollars, about 50% margins. Obviously, as you scale, that goes lower and lower. But if you told me that, I would have been like, how? And that's all opportunities that come off the back of building an intentional personal brand. So, day number 1, today. You know, you're going to discover why most 8-figure business owners are actually struggling to keep 7 figures in profit, and why comparing your revenue numbers is the biggest trap in the industry. I see it time and time again. It annoys me so much. It annoys me so much. I see all these people talking about their revenue, just flexing their revenue. And like, a lot of times it's not even on a cash basis. It's on a accounts receivable basis. So I'll dispel that whole thing for you today, okay? And just so you guys understand, we're going to get into super nitty gritty, okay? Like, you guys are getting all the SOPs, templates, like everything you potentially need. And we're going to get into some of the specifics. And between myself, between, as I said, the resources I'm sending, between the concierge, like, you're good, okay? I just need you guys to understand my worldview and understand the way we do things, because then everything I teach over the space of the next few days will make a lot more sense, okay? And that's, as I said, what we're going to be discussing today. Now, day 2 is all about the exact approach behind a single video that took us from relatively small SMA-focused channel to an industry leader in the online business space, while generating $20 million in sales, in revenue, and what was that? Getting paid $257,000 or $256,000 in order for the pleasure to do so. All right. Now, day number 3, how to create content that attracts high-ticket clients, even with low viewer count, because you don't need millions of views to make millions from YouTube. Okay, and we're going to show you our buyer magnet system that's generated more than 5,000 subscribers. I'm sorry, generated more profit with 5,000 subscribers than most make with 500,000 subscribers. Next, we're going to be moving on to the empire building blueprint. I'm going to show you exactly how I build my team, my systems, my structures. That way I can focus 1 to 2 hours a day on the real cash cow, the real cash flow generating business, and then from there I can focus on my empire plays. All right. Day 5, we have a fun guest speaker. We have a dear friend, Dan Henry. He's actually going to be jumping on and talking about how he's built a multi-8-figure business, and how he went through the same thing that I did, right? And over the space of the last few years, he's more profitable now than he's ever been in his entire life by focusing on all the principles that we talked about in the first 4 days, all right? His YouTube channel is a fraction of mine, but he's consistently hitting a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 months profit. So his revenue, his top line revenue, isn't where it used to be, but instead he's focused on profitability. And I talked to that guy. He's loving life. He's loving life, and he loves what he does, and he has that perfect balance, but that perfect work-life balance, and he's built his dream life. And I think at the end of the day, that's what you guys need to identify. What does your dream life look like? So let's address something that I know a lot of you guys are thinking. But content takes too long. I don't have enough time to record content. And that is a fact. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. I'm not going to bullshit you and tell you that, it's going to happen overnight. Quite frankly, you're not going to build a flywheel content system that brings in millions of dollars in 1 month. You're not. In the same way, you're not going to build a real estate portfolio that brings you in millions a year in cash flow in 1 month. These things take time. You probably won't build a multi-million-dollar renter portfolio in 1 month, as I said. So I would say give yourself 6 months. Realistically, if you're consistent for 6 months, you will be shocked. And it's funny, I even had, every day, I like to play tennis or boxing. And I'll usually bring different founders, different people in my circle in very different industries. And last week, I had a gentleman who's been building his very niche personal brand in Germany. And off that, he's built an 8-figure e-commerce brand. And he's like, bro, you wouldn't believe it. Like, I'm getting discounted equity in businesses. You know, I'm getting all these different platforms asking to fly me out for me to speak on stage. Like, hiring talent is the easiest it's ever been. So I want to make something clear. You know, a lot of what we're going to be talking about here is info. But if you're in e-commerce, if you're in software, so many of my friends, you know, whether that be a dear friend of mine, Guillaume, who owns a company called Lemlist, bootstrapped all the way to $400 million valuation. How do you do that? A micro niche personal brand. So whatever your industry in, you know, you can really take these lessons and apply it. So if you take this game seriously for 6 months, you will have an asset that will keep paying dividends for years to come while growing faster and faster. And when you implement the system, you will not have to spend your time doing all this, creating new VSLs, fixing your funnels, managing a bloated sales team, doing admin tasks and operate. Like, do you guys enjoy doing this stuff? Like, I'm actually curious. Do you guys enjoy creating all these new funnels, fixing your funnels, managing a bloated sales team that constantly complains? Like, do you guys enjoy all this stuff? No, hell no. Okay, yeah, good. I mean, listen, in all fairness, we have some people that do. You know, like we've got my COO sat right there, and you know he's German, so it's like, you know, he gets off to this sort of stuff. So listen, I guess there's some people that are like that, but just that's not my idea of fun. All right, so that's why I don't want to make any judgments, and I don't want to assume any things. And we'll talk about how to actually find great talent and a COO and great people in your organization that allow you to do the things that take the organization forward while they really make sure that everything's taking over day to day. Now, if you remove all these things, you're finally going to have time to record content. Now, bear in mind, I really only record 4 to 5 videos a month. And then I hop on a daily call with my leadership team. We call it the Cobra meeting. And that's it. Spend about 1 to 2 hours a day on my info business. Now, the day everything changed for me and the day that I realized, like, this is how I want my business to run, I was sitting at this elite mastermind surrounded by supposed 8-figure earners. It was the only mastermind I've ever been in, or internet marketing mastermind I've ever been in my life. And I don't know why no one I don't know why everyone was so scared to ask this question. I asked a question that no one else would ask, which is, hey, how much are you actually pocketing? Like, how much are you actually profiting after all of this huge this whole operation? And it turns out the mentor who was running the mastermind, the one that everyone worshipped, looked up to like a god, like a king, he was making $1 million in profit. I actually felt violated. Like, I genuinely felt violated in that moment. And that's why when I talk to you guys in like cold, hard facts. When I tell you guys, oh, my eyewear brand is doing this, because in certain businesses, we use certain KPIs. In e-commerce, revenue is usually what we talk about, but I still want to mention my margins just so you get a better understanding for the business, okay? In the info game, the only thing that matters is profit. He was making $1 million in profit. All of these fancy offices, huge team, complex systems, things breaking all the time for a 3% profit margin. I was pissed off because I had wasted a year of my life trying to copy a broken model. It was annoying. Listen, if you were trying to go fishing, all right? Let's say you wanted to catch a snapper. Are you going to throw a huge piece of dynamite into the ocean, let it blow up, and then just hope that some snapper floats to the surface? No, of course not. You're going to know exactly where that snapper is, and you're going to place the perfect bait right there in front of them. You see? That's the issue. Most people treat traffic like fishing with dynamite. They're just like, let me spend more. I'll just spend more. Just throw money at ads, trying to catch anything that floats to the surface. I don't get it. Instead, building a brand is like placing the perfect bait in the exact spot where your ideal fish are already swimming. Now, you know what's funny? If you look in the industry, it's the same story playing over and over. Let me give you an example. I see so many people, they talk about how much they're making. All these info guys talking about how much they're making. Okay, well, they don't tell you that they're talking in revenue numbers. They're showing you their screenshots of $900,000 months. And then in the same breath, in the same video, they're telling you, yeah, I work 12, 14-hour days, 6, 7 days a week. Okay, cool. Like, that's nice for you. And they have a 50-50 business partner. So let's run the math. They're doing 900K in revenue. They're taking home 50% margins, about 500K in profit. I mean, by the way, 50% profit margins is if they're lucky, the way that these people run it. Then they split with their business partner, so they're personally taking home 250K a month, working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for a business that they're never going to sell. Bear in mind, I want to make something very, very clear. If you make 250K a month, you're doing very well. I don't want, like, in no way am I trying to discredit that. I'm just saying all of that stress, all of that headache for all of these vanity metrics, when instead, if you focus on the thing that actually mattered in info, which was profit, it just gets your mind thinking in the right way. And I look at all these guys and I compare it to, for example, my smallest business, my eyewear business. Now, I actually sold 40% of it to my business partner back in May, a gentleman called Alex Hawkers. Very good business partner I have. He's done $1 billion in eyewear, so part of that was also strategic. But prior to that, when I wasn't taking it seriously, we now have our offices in Madrid and we're scaling and we're hiring and all this stuff. Prior to that, I made about $2 million a year. Okay, made about $2 million a year. I worked on it. We launched the G1s in 2020. I worked on it, 2 hours a week maximum? And the reason I say that is because I just want you guys to look at this model for what it truly is, and I just want you guys to enjoy your work. And I just see so many people in this space that are just so fixated on revenue numbers, vanity metrics, that they just hate the work they do, and then eventually they get, the number one risk to your business? You getting burnt out. That's the truth of it. The number one risk to your business right now is you just burning out. And when you keep focusing on these vanity metrics and you don't build a substantial base, when you don't think long-term and build a personal brand so that way you have better customers, better team, you have room to breathe because you know that you have an asset for the rest of your life rather than like, oh, my ad account got shut down. Oh, what am I going to do? Now, I'll show you how to actually implement this. You see, most people are like missing the opportunity that's right in front of them. Imagine if there was this huge ad network with unlimited traffic where you could target exactly your ideal client. I mean, that'd be pretty cool, right? It'd be pretty awesome. Well, it exists. But the way it operates is very different than the other networks out there. Instead of you having to pay for people to watch your sales video, the ad network actually pays you. I mean, think about how insane that is. That would then create something where you're getting a negative cost of acquisition. You are getting paid to acquire a customer. You're making money on both ends. That's insane. You know that, right? You know how ridiculous that is? You know how ridiculous it is that there is a platform out there where you can do stuff like this, where you can get 9.6 million views on a video where you sell your product. And you get paid for it. And just remember, by the way, I launched this video, I believe it was January or February of 2022. I only had like 150-ish thousand subscribers, so it's not like I was like this huge audience and all my videos were getting millions of views. No, my videos were getting like 10,000 views per. But then I started implementing these systems. I mean, would you put your sales video on this kind of ad network? I mean, I'm curious. Tell me in the chat. Would you? If you had a platform where you could sell and get paid to sell, does that not make you guys think, what am I doing? Not utilizing this. Well, my question to you is, why haven't you? I mean, this is exactly what YouTube is. Listen, YouTube is nothing more than an app platform. Now, I'm not talking about YouTube ads here. I'm talking about regular YouTube videos. I mean, just think about it. When I open the YouTube homepage, or when you open the YouTube homepage, what do you guys see? This will tell me a lot about you, by the way. I'll tell you what I see. I see images, I see headlines, and I see links, just like in an ad. And then, when you click, it goes to your video. Once again, just like an ad. And what you need to understand is that when you open YouTube, those are pretty much just like a bunch of ad creatives. I mean, look at it. This is a network right here. What do you see? As I said, I just see images, headlines, and links. To me, this is exactly like running Facebook ads. This is exactly, I take the exact same approach that I would in that domain. Now, the difference is, I don't need to pay to put my ads on there. I get paid to put my ads on there, aka in this case, videos. Now imagine this. This right here paid me $256,000. It brought in 9.5, or I guess 9.6 million views. Most importantly, it brought in $20 million in sales. By the way, if that number sounds crazy, just remember, that was a $1,500 product, $1,499. And we got, in that case, we got about 13,000 customers. So 13,000 customers from 9.6 million views, you can start to understand, the math behind this stuff. And I also gained 183,000 subscribers off the back of it. That was really an 8-figure personal brand that was built off the back of this video. Now, imagine you own a food truck. Every day you have 2 options as to where you want to park it. Option 2, oopsie, slipped. Option 1 is you park it somewhere that's cold, dreary, and there's no foot traffic. Or option 2 is you park it somewhere where there is traffic. You see, the thing is, you guys are just like, you're going against the grain, all right? You guys are, what you're doing right now is like parking it in some random alleyway on a cold day where there's no one's actually searching it up, right? You're just trying to like attack them out of nowhere. And that doesn't make sense, all right? When you choose YouTube over paid ads, what you're doing, you need to understand that like Google is the largest search engine on earth. YouTube is the second largest. There's already energy flowing that way. There's already traffic flowing that way. You just have to position yourself in the right place. You see, with paid ads, you're paying for attention. With YouTube, you're getting paid for that same attention, and you're making more sales because the audience is far more qualified. The audience is far more engaged. Remember, it's like getting paid to park your food truck at a better location. And right now, you're choosing to park your food truck in some cold, dreary back alley where no one's going to. All right? Now listen, it wasn't always like this for me. I feel your pain. See, before I started approaching YouTube as an ad network, I was doing the same thing. All right? I was struggling to make $1 million directly from YouTube. I had a 10% growth rate on my YouTube channel. My views and sales were inconsistent. And I was just known as the SMA kid. I was known as the SMA guy. And I, too, also sat in my bed at night and I went, oh, when's this going to end? When's the party going to stop? When will my info business die out? I'm plateauing. Will I ever grow? Like, I've been there, okay? Like, I know the pain. But after changing my approach, we had some cool things happen. We had a 2021 promo, we had a 2022 promo, and a 2023 promo. And you can start to see how my views jumps up. And remember, we've already acknowledged that attention, once again, most 90% of the time, attention is income if you do it the right way and you create content in the right way, like I do. Guys, can you imagine these events? I'm having these events, millions of people are watching me, tuning in to watch me sell. It's insane. Now, what you also need to understand is you don't need millions of views to make money with YouTube, okay? And that's what I'm going to show you in just a second. I'm going to show you this so that way you can understand how fast you can scale with a content-driven model. And what happens when you actually have the right content systems in place. Now, what you need to understand is that all of this explosive growth in between each one of these videos was fueled, I should say, by my most watched video so far, which is this flywheel VSL. This is really the catalyst. And I'm going to show you how to do this, by the way, so don't worry. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. As I said, this VSL didn't make millions because we had millions of subscribers already. All right, when we published that video, I think our channel was quite stale. It was getting about 10,000 subscribers back then. Now, this VSL made millions when, as I said, we were only getting like 5,000 to 10,000 views per. It made me millions, and then it built a huge audience on the back of it. The audience was just a byproduct, all right? And you don't need the audience in the first place, especially the way YouTube is right now. I'm sure, have you guys been seeing this like really cool thing where you go on YouTube and you start to see like a video with 57 views? Like you're seeing like all these micro creators, like just put a 1 in the chat if you're seeing like all of these just small creators pop up. Yeah. Yeah, they're really supporting small creators. Just remember, terrible for me, great for you guys, all right? Like your videos, like sometimes I actually see the videos on my homepage and I click on them and like these videos like have like 100 views. And I'm like, I wonder if they know that like I'm sat on the other side just watching these videos. It's interesting. YouTube's a really interesting place right now, and it's the best time there's ever been to actually implement all this stuff. Now, the most important aspect of this whole thing, the reason why this flywheel VSL worked so well and made so much money was because it positioned me at exactly the right place where my buying audience was already at. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well. All right? A lot of this stuff is just about positioning, just making sure that you're there. Like the intent is already there. People already want this thing. You just need to position yourself in the right place to make sure that you can convert when the intent is had. Now, I'll pose you another question. Let's say, for example, you want to sell a $50,000 watch. Are you going to stand in Times Square and randomly try to sell it? Or instead, are you going to go to a dinner with 20 watch collectors? It's the same thing. Building your personal brand is the same thing. Do you want 100,000 random people? I could give you 1 million followers. Have you guys ever seen those like weird celebrity like giveaways and stuff like that where they like tell you to like follow and all that crap? And then people end up getting like 500,000 followers or 1 million followers and then having to like end up hiding their likes because they don't have an audience. They just have some random people. So our strategy is very different, okay? Rather than trying to sell to 100,000 random people, instead, we'd rather host an intimate dinner party where everyone is a watch collector. Once again, just remember, guys, I could have put this on my YouTube channel with 5.5 million subscribers. I could have put this out there. But instead, not only did I want to speak, and outside of that, I could have put it on my business channel with 20,000 subscribers, far more qualified. But instead, I decided to even put this behind a paywall because I only wanted, in this case, the 20 watch collectors. I don't want 100,000 random people, okay? Now let me show you how this works in practice. As I said, we recently launched our brand new YouTube channel. We call it the business channel. I'm sure you guys have seen once we launched it. A bunch of other people have since launched theirs, all right? And that's because it works, Just understand, the way I speak to you guys is very, very different. The way I need to speak to you compared to my main channel, compared to my vlog channel. Now, I don't recommend you having all these channels. I really don't. For me, I have the infrastructure, and I've been doing this long enough where I have the infrastructure, and also I have multiple different business goals. For me, I have my physical product brands. I have my, we obviously have done incredibly well with the $1K/$1,500 price point. I have these multiple different businesses. But when it comes to our actual private clients, there's only one way to speak to them, and the way we speak to them is the way we speak to them on the business channel. All right, so that's why we launched this channel, because I knew that, yeah, sure, I have 5.5 million subscribers. Like I practice what I preach here, guys. All right, I practice what I preach, and I knew that. I know pretty much most of you guys won't watch my main channel. I'll check the comments, by the way. How many of you guys would or watch my business channel but would never watch my main channel? Because it's just you're a business owner, right? You want to be spoken to in a specific way. Yeah, I mean, pretty much everyone here, right? Never watched main channel. Don't worry, I don't take that personally. And listen, I have many of my friends, listen, there's many of my friends that would never watch my main channel, but they love my business channel. They're like, wow, this is like so applicable to where I am right now. And as I said, that's why I practice what I preach. I understand that you need to be intentional about these things. Now, within 30 days of launching the business channel, we brought in $500,000 in profit, which is 5,000 subscribers. Anybody might be wondering, why did it work so well? I guarantee if I posted that content on my main channel, it wouldn't have worked as well. You see, after selling close to $100 million worth of info products, I learned something. You don't need to create traffic. You just need to position yourself where the traffic exists already. And bear in mind, you could say, oh,